The traditional understanding of God in Christianity is as a God who is omnibenevolent, all-loving and omnipotent, all-powerful. However, the existence of evil in the world poses a challenge to religious believers. How can God exist if he is all-loving, all-powerful, but evil still be around? And for this topic, it's worth being aware of the distinction between two types of evil. So moral evil, evil that results directly from human action or from human choices. So that might be things like war crimes, murder, abuse, or natural evil, evil that's not a direct result of human actions, such as natural disasters. The problem of evil has its roots in ancient Greek philosophy with the philosopher Epicurus, but since then it's been developed, and the most common interpretation today is that presented by Scottish philosopher J. L. Mackie. This is often referred to as the inconsistent triad. The inconsistent triad is called the triad because there are three parts to it. So firstly, if God is all-loving, he should want to stop evil. Secondly, if God is all-powerful, he has the ability to stop evil, but evil still exists. So there appears to be incompatibility between the statements. So this is a big problem for people to deal with, and for many philosophers, they come to the conclusion that God simply cannot exist. There are three incompatible sides and there is no solution. So long as evil exists, there cannot be a God who exists. And for some religious believers, this also poses a real challenge. One of the challenges for religious believers is that the Bible describes God as being loving. So if we look at this quote from Psalm 103, it says God is compassionate and gracious. So for lots of Christians, this will mean that a loving God should remove evil from the world. The existence of evil also challenges God's omniscience because it suggests that God has knowledge of evil combined with the power to stop it. So there are three apparent contradictions, and this can lead people to reject Christianity and also to reject belief in God. However, there are a number of possible solutions and responses that we can look at. These are sometimes referred to as theodicies, so in defence of God in light of evil. Christians might look to the Bible to find solutions to the problem of evil. The book of Isaiah explains that we cannot know the mind of God. It says that my ways are higher than your ways, God's ways are higher than human ways. And similarly in Job, Job suffers not, but says, I cannot understand the purposes of God. As well as the belief that God is ultimately in control and that Christians can't fully understand the meaning and the purpose behind suffering, there is also some comfort found for religious believers in the fact that Jesus shares in their suffering. So as Jesus was incarnate, he went through the things that men might go through. Theological responses to evil can be found in different theodicies, for example the Irenaean theodicy, which talks about the idea that suffering can develop our character, and Richard Swinburne, the philosopher, who talks about the character traits that we develop as we suffer. This is sometimes referred to as the veil of soul-making. Your soul is developed through pain. So while some responses focus on the purpose of suffering, there are alternatives such as the Augustinian theodicy, which look at the cause of suffering and evil in the world. And for Augustine, the theologian, he will argue that it's a result of human free will, and that natural evil can be linked back to the free will of angels. And whilst philosophical and theological responses can be given to the problem of evil, for many Christians they will say that suffering and evil is part of the way of this world, and actually we just need to respond practically. So that might be a case of helping those in need by giving money to charity or by praying for people in need as well. A quick knowledge check to finish. Firstly, what different types of evil are there and why is it significant? Secondly, what is the inconsistent triad, thinking about where it began and its origins? Thirdly, why does the problem of evil challenge faith? Why is it difficult for people? And finally, what possible solutions are there to the problem of evil?